and welcome everybody. People watching online, specifically to all of them. Different time zones, so you gotta keep up. This is sub-0. It's hotter than anything else today as well. And the topic today is very interesting. And with me, I have Zaid. I'm Ghan. I'm the co-founder and CTO at Zeeve. And Zaid is one of the associate product directors at Zeeve.
Yeah, I have one.
And we'll be running you through a lot of things today. And to start with, what Zeeve is. We've been into this Web3 ecosystem for a very long time. And today it's time to paint everything pink. And we work with a lot of enterprises, help them with Web3 infrastructure, team of 100 plus people across the globe. And we're building many app chains and parachains and make them go to production. That's what we do. What we'll be going through today is, of course, the most important bit. How do you create a parachain, automate it through our one-click deployment, DevNet setup platform, and how to monitor it, manage it with ease. And then beyond this, we'll be talking about Larch, which is an open source automation we have created. We'll talk about Larch more on the later slides. So Larch is going to help you test parachains at scale, to the teeth with Zombinet running underneath. And then we'll talk about the production best practices, what you need to take care of, what it takes to run into production or to take your parachain to production. And then we'll talk about core time. It's coming up. Everybody's so excited. It was announced recently. And we'll talk about how it impacts your parachains going ahead in time. And then what is Zeeve going to offer in the next releases beyond just what it offers as of today. So we'll talk about what it offers today and then what we are bringing up next. And then some more bits. Of course, it's a 50-minute workshop, so we'll talk about many other things here. So let's start with Zeeve. So Zeeve offers Parachain, DevNet setup, testnet setup, and a complete managed approach to run your Parachain operations 24/7. And it's a full stack approach, which means you get configuration and flexibility. So we work with Parachain teams from the very beginning in terms of helping them figure out if there are many configurations they need to be taken care of, what kind of configuration options they can pick and choose, what those choices turn into when they go to production, what kind of impacts it generates, scalability, throughput, and a lot more. And then we also give you enterprise-grade node infrastructure. So we give all the options: DevNets, testnets, mainnets, and you get to choose if you want high availability, you want scalability, and the size of the network you would want to start with. Most parachains, they start with a smaller DevNet, and then they go to a production testnet, and that's when the proper orientation happens towards a public mainnet. Then we give you a white-labeled block explorer, so you get it branded, you launch with your own brand, and it's part of the bundle. And then we also get you around cost optimizations and generating performance at the right balance or with the right balance. So you launch your parachain, scale with it, and your infrastructure will scale with it as well. 24/7 support, a lot of ancillary services like data indexing and APIs if you need those on top of your parachain, specifically DeFi, gaming parachains, they require a lot of data to be indexed underneath. So these ancillary integrations and services, they help you become a full stack parachain in no time. Then global cloud coverage. So we keep the essence of Web3. We distribute your infra across the globe through 10 plus partners of ours, cloud partners, and 180 plus data centers supported across the globe. Then deployment is just one bit. Then comes monitoring, management, and day-to-day operations. So we offer a full-fledged monitoring dashboard, analytics, and all sort of utilities to help you gain control and stay on top of what is happening on your parachain in terms of its health, different operational things. So you get these dashboards up and running all the time. And beyond these dashboards, we have our own tech support team which works 24/7 in the background to help your operations, so that you do not have to wake up 3 a.m. in the morning, worry about what happened with your parachain if no new blocks are generating. You do not have to leave supper with your family. You do not have to leave coffees. We take care of all that. And then, yes, it's a full stack approach. So you get faucets for testnet if required. You get bridges, interrupts, and different Polkadot ecosystem tools integrated wherever it's needed. And migration assistance is where we pioneer in the most. So if you want to migrate from an EVM chain to a Parachain, a different non-EVM chain to a Parachain, so we take care of all the migration, which includes state migration, transaction replays and histories, token accounts, balances, everything. And today we support these features across all the primary Parachain ecosystem frameworks or relay chains like Polkadot itself, Kusama, and then Substrate for standalone chains. So moving forward, I'll not waste much time. I'll quickly run you through what this DevNet automation is. How do you create your own Parachain DevNet quickly? What kind of capabilities it offers? And let me take you to the main screen and run you through the platform. So this is Zeeve. Sign up is very easy. You can use Google, GitHub, whatever works for you. That's pretty easy to get in. It's free. Once you get in, you see a dashboard. You can create your own workspaces. So workspaces are logical entities. Oh, let me quickly drop the screen here. Let me mirror the display. Yeah. So, yeah. So this is Zeeve dashboard through which you can actually see all your Parachains in action. You can create as many as you want, and you would see them all here. You can even create individual nodes, and they'll also be monitored. You have workspaces. These are logical entities. You can create as many as you want to manage your different environments or different customers or different use cases. If I go to Parachains, I already have one here, which I'll be able to show. But before we go into that, let me log out and show you how to deploy a new Parachain. Let me log in using a different account. So this is the new account, so you won't see any Parachain here. Now, we can create a quick DevNet by clicking this button. It comes with a 15-day free trial. We also extend the free trials based upon the customer request. Now, this configuration is a 5-step process, very simple, very intuitive. So the first step is that you upload your chain spec, which is a JSON format file. Every Parachain project has one when they create a Parachain. Once you upload the chain spec, it would pick up most of the parameters from the chain spec itself. But in case you want to edit some things like the network name, you can do so. You want to add some description here, you can do so as well. And you can select a workspace. If you won't pick any, it'll be default. Then you have your chain spec file here, the daemon, the binary or the image of your Parachain. You can upload it from right here. So I have got this Parachain template, basic Parachain template available here, which I'm uploading. It takes a while, and then the image gets uploaded. Then you have para ID. You can either have it in your chain spec, edit it, or maybe fill it in later. Then you have network ID. You have para protocol ID. You have the environment type. So this is going to work upon Rococo local, which means you do not have any dependency on a public network running for your DevNet, and you are completely independent and operating solely. So which means you would be up and running without any third-party dependency or network connections, though it is not the same when you want to launch on Rococo public network or Kusama or Polkadot. You would get to choose those networks here for your production mainnets and testnets. Then you have the telemetry endpoint. Now this is something which you can put out and publish the telemetry data towards. So it can be the Polkadot public telemetry endpoints where you would be visible on Polkadot JS app as well. And the decimal values for your token balances. And then the unit or the token symbol name. So you can either have it in your chain spec or you can configure it through here. Then the encoding type. So you can change the encoding, or again, it is automatically picked up from your chain spec. Then you have candidacy bond here, which you can type in, or again, it is going to be picked up from your chain spec automatically. We just have to wait for the file to be completely uploaded, and then we can move on to the next step. Now this automation is creating a DevNet. When you create a testnet or mainnet environment through this is fairly, or I would say very complex in terms of order of magnitude of what you see here. And there are many parameters, which includes creating the chain spec on the fly as well. So you can upload a dummy chain spec or a minimalistic chain spec, but then you can add more parameters and increase the size of chain spec with more configurations and parameters added. Yeah, so this is pretty much uploaded. I can click next. So when I click next, like I said, it's a Rococo local deployment. So it would be running 2 validator nodes as a Rococo local nodes. So these are the configurations commands which you can manually copy as well and run it as on the machine. Though these will be the commands which will be used in the background to run your Rococo local nodes. You can pick the relay chain configs here. In case of Kusama Polkadot, you'll have to pick Kusama Polkadot, and the similar will be happening for those two. And then Polkadot version, we pick Polkadot version 1.2.0. There'll be more releases as Polkadot pushes more releases, runtimes, they'll be available all here. So we use the most stable release and we keep pushing newer updates here for you to choose. When you click next, you come at the Parachain configuration. So this is about your collator node. So how many you want to run. In the DevNet, we recommend you run minimum 2. So this option would appear for collator nodes. You can name your node, my collator. You can paste some account addresses you need. Let me copy some from here. And then you can pre-mine some tokens here. Fill in any number. It's a DevNet, so no cost. Then RPC cores, these are some parameters which you would want. So we have enabled cores all because it's a DevNet. Then it's a local chain. The ports, there are certain ports, peer-to-peer ports, DB caches and all, they'll be picked up automatically. You do not have to change them. And then this would be the path in case you need to manually get into the machine and figure it out. Number of in peers and out peers, you can configure them, though it's a DevNet, so you would not be talking to a lot many peers. It'll be your limited DevNet network itself. Then authentication method would be API key based or basic. In the DevNet, we only offer API key based. And you can create another collator. Again, paste an account address for this collator. Again, some pre-minted tokens you would want on this collator address. Rest of the things would remain the same. Telemetry is optional. If you would have chosen it on the first step itself, this would be auto or pre-filled. So it's optional. Then again, authentication method is API key based for this collator as well. Now, one thing to note here is that for collators, there is no RPC endpoint we expose. And it's a good practice not to do so. So I'll move forward. This is your RPC node. So the DevNet configuration or topology is about 2 relay nodes, 2 Parachain collator nodes, and 1 RPC nodes. This RPC node would enable you to connect your app to the relay chain or the Parachain and then deploy contracts, do certain operations, hit RPC APIs, get transactional data out of it with ease. You can name your node any name you can give. It would be by default supporting HTTPS and WebSocket as an endpoint. In production mainnets and testnets, you would also be able to choose Sidecar as an option, as a bundled installation. So you do not have to additionally install it. This would come embedded. And then again, the authentication for RPC endpoints will be API based. And that is all you have to do. Select the cloud region at will. So you can choose where you want to deploy globally. We can pick maybe Jakarta nearby and submit. At this step, we are pretty much done from the configuration point of view of DevNet. And I like to repeat that configuration for DevNet is minimal. What you would have as an option for testnet and mainnets will be very extensive, too much to choose from, too much to pick and gain control upon. Though we consult you on every step in terms of what you want to choose, and also that is something which we offer as a practice. There are documentation and tutorials available for all these steps. You can access them here. And they can, these steps will help you guide through all the options, what these options mean, what to fill in, how to practice it. And once your network is being provisioned, you would see this dashboard. So the first bit is about deploying. The second bit is about managing your DevNet or your mainnet or testnet. And this dashboard helps you exactly do so. These are things in provision, so it'll take a while to come alive, and you would see these details which you have filled in, like the network name, the ID, description, and some related parameters. The status would be requested, which means the machine provisioning will be happening in the background on the chosen data centers. Then after that, provisioning will start or installation will start of your relay nodes, your collator nodes, your RPC nodes with the configuration we chose a while ago. You would see your blockchain config. So you would see your Parachain ID, which you picked up, your relay chain, which you chose. The block height, of course, it's not available as of now because the network is still being provisioned. Then cloud infra, the data center region, the status, and the number of nodes at the bottom left of the screen. So you would see collator nodes, you would see RPC nodes, and you would see the status of each in front of them. Now, alert section on the right bottom is a very interesting one. In case something goes wrong, you would see all those alerts coming in right there. There is a dedicated section as well, which I'll run when I'll talk about a running network. So I'm quickly switching my account to show you a running network. This will take about 5 minutes to set up, and in the meantime, we can go to another network and see a running parachain already. So this is a running parachain. You can create as many as you want. 1, 2, 3, devnets, testnet, mainnet, staging environment, name them any, and they would all appear here. All you have to do is to click view, and the dashboard of a running parachain would appear. Now, if you see the difference here, you have these nodes in the ready status. They are not in requested mode or provisioning mode, they're ready, which means they're actually operating. You would see a block height because it's a running devnet. It is actually publishing blocks in the background right now. And then you would see blockchain config in the next tab. So this is your Parachain config. You would see all the details required, the token related information, the encoding, the candidacy bond, the decimal value of how many token values what much length you can define, the symbol name. As of now, it is unit. You can define it A, B, C, X, Y, Z, anything. Again, it's a devnet. It's a limited boundaried environment, so you do not have to worry if you can name it dot as well. Then you have certain Parachain details here. It's a spec file detail, so you can always download it, manually run another node and connect it with the network, so there's no need that you have to operate it from the panel itself. Then the pre-mined addresses. So there are 12 addresses which gets generated and pre-minted upon, and these are the addresses, and you have token balances listed right in front of each. You can copy them and search them in the Explorer as well. And then a minimal section on the rightmost side, which is about the relay chain config. So we have already seen this. This is running upon Rococo Local with Polkadot version 1.2.0. You see the Parachain block height, and you also see total token supply on the right side for your Parachain. Then we go to My Nodes section. In the My Nodes section, you would see collator nodes. Like we discussed, we created 2 collator nodes, so they are visible here, and 1 RPC node. This would be significantly sizable information when you would see a testnet or a devnet in this panel. So for testnet, you would see at least 4 collator nodes and 1 or 2 RPC nodes at minimal. And for mainnet, you would see even more, 4 collators and maybe more. Some parachains in today's time have got about, say, 10 or 15 collator nodes running distributed. That's why you see this manage invite section over there. So you can also send invites to people to join your parachain as a collator. And they can simply click, and become part of it without getting into command line and doing anything. All they need is a Zeeve account, and they can join your Parachain just like that. In mainnet, you would also see more RPC nodes. They are load balanced, so you would see information about load balancers and their individual performances. Now, individual node details can be accessed from here. You want to get the details of the node, you can click this view detail link. You want to see analytics, you can click here. You want to delete it, of course, you can delete it from right here. Now, this operational panel help you avoid a lot of cloud leakages. So in the background, you do not have to worry about if the instance is actually deleted from the cloud or not. This panel does that job. So it's very cohesively working with the infrastructure underneath. Let me open up the details of a collator. So you would see the ID, the name, the status. You would see the region where it is running. You would see for how long it has been running. You would see its address. You can copy it and search in the Explorer. You would see the DB cache size, and RPC, of course, it's a collator, so it's disabled. You do not have RPC enabled as a best practice on collator nodes ever. But on the other hand, if I open one of the RPC nodes, what we'll see here is, of course, the general details, but then the RPC endpoint details as well. For both WebSockets and HTTPS. You can copy them, directly consume them in the wallet or in your dApp, or maybe some custom explorers if you're building, or some indexing services which you're building, and try to get going right away. And this is your API key, which you can view, copy as you deem fit. And like I said, it's a DevNet, so this parameter cross-origin request is all set to all. Though for DevNets, mainnet and production networks, this is not recommended. Now let's go to the cloud infra bit. Here we see very minimal details. Again, because it's a DevNet, you cannot touch much things. But in case of mainnet and testnet, you would see scaling options here. Scaling options like increasing the size of the machines, and maybe increasing the number of machines as well running underneath. So you would see all those scaling options as well. And even the data center related options, if you would want to run 2 machines here, 1 machine here, which means nodes in the end. So 2 collators in this data region, 2 collators in those data center regions. RPCs load balanced across different data center regions. So you can switch and play with those configurations on the fly for testnet and mainnets. Manage invites, yes, this is applicable for testnet and mainnets, where you want to invite people to join the network as a collator node, or maybe run an RPC node. So they do not have to deal with you sending an email, packing up configuration files into the cryptographic artifacts into an email, or sending in a very unsecured way. You can pack them through this invite, and everything goes automatically to their inbox. They click, they sign up, the profile is embedded, the chain ID, the connection endpoints and all, everything is all embedded as part of this invite. And when they create their node in their chosen data center, they join your Parachain just as is, without any trouble. And they also get to see everything as a Parachain topology, and they also clearly see the differentiation in terms of which node they own and the rest of the Parachain nodes from transparency's sake, though they do not control those nodes. So you can only operate your own node. You can delete it, restart it, but you cannot delete the other Parachain nodes which are there. You would only see them. Now, apart from this high-level management dashboard, you also have Explorer. So in case of DevNet, there is no white-labeled Explorer we provide. The white-labeled Explorer is available for testnets and mainnets. In case of DevNet, we simply connect it to the Polka.js app, and you would see blocks punching right away here. And it's pretty easy. So you do not have to configure it or put your endpoints. You click that link, and it will directly redirect here. For the analytics, you have these many options. So you can see your node analytics. Now, this is system-level parameters. This is available against each node of yours. So each collator would be seen here. Each RPC would be seen here in terms of the CPU, disk, RAM, and all. So I'll open it up, and I'll let the dashboard load for you. So you would see that we're showing CPU, RAM, we're showing sysload, we're showing CPU usage, RAM usage, swap usage, root file system, basic profiling, memory stack, network traffic, disk space used, and the current configuration which is running your DevNet underneath. So you would see it all, and you would see it all in terms of against each validator or collator nodes, and as well as RPC nodes. You can also see the collator nodes separately, because this information is slightly different. That information was primarily targeting at the hardware running underneath and its health. This information is targeted at your Parachain's collator node and its health. So you can switch the collator nodes. We're running 2 here. You can switch between them, and then you would see height of the chain. And again, this is your Parachain's height. And you would see bandwidth bytes usage per second. It'll help you with a lot of cost estimates. But do not worry if this sounds too complex, because there is a monitoring engine at the back which consistently monitors these parameters and gives you alerts. So even if you do not understand these graphs and charts, that's not a problem. There's a monitoring engine which keeps track on every parameter individually and throws alerts and triggers notifications, be it inline on this platform in your email inboxes, or we have integrations available with Slack and Teams, which I'll be able to show you in a while as well. So it captures pretty much everything: the queued blocks, the ready queue, the validator messages, state caches, pretty much all the important information. And specifically, the peer connecteds. This is very important for production networks when they are in testnet or mainnet, because many of the peers, the better it is. And when you have created the configuration, if you remember the first screen still, it had configurations to select or decide how many in peers and out peers do you want. So this would allow you to expand your network at its capacity and at a scale at which you would want it. So then these peers would come alive here. In production, we recommend that you would at least, at minimum, have 10 peers, but it's pretty good for larger parachains to have up to 50 peers running. Then next, you can also view your RPC related information. So collators are separate, they have different things to show and monitor. RPCs, you also need to make sure that your RPC is at the same block height which your collators are, so that when you make those transaction related requests to get the details of the latest transactions and all, they're all logged in into this dashboard. So you pretty much see everything what you see in the collator, and you also see number of leaves here. This is available for all the RPC nodes you have. In case of testnet mainnets, you would have many RPC nodes, at least 3 load balanced, so you would see 3 of them, and there would be alerts coming in if one of them goes out of sync. So one of them, if it loses or lags behind in terms of block height, you would have alerts. And the system is so smart that it would start switching the load balancer to the nodes where the block height is most appropriate or the highest. So it would automatically eliminate the node which is lagging behind and will add it back when it becomes healthy and up again. So these intelligent decision makings are embedded into it. This is relay chain related analytics. You would only need it in the DevNet. You would not need it in the production testnet and mainnet, because your relay chain would be either Kusama or Polkadot. You would not have your Rococo local as your relay chain. But in case of DevNet, we have it as local, so we show the analytics. Now, this is about understanding your overall parachain status, and relay chain plays a role in it. Specifically, when it is running local, you would want to see everything here as well. Now, going forward, we have logs and alerts. I'll first go through alerts. You would always want to see it empty. Something comes up here, it's something which worries you. Now, all sort of alerts would come up here, be it one of RPC nodes lagging behind, one of the nodes being eliminated from the load balancer pool, one of the collators not syncing properly, the peer count is dropping. They would all come up here. And even if you do not have time, or maybe the time zone won't allow you to look at it, it's night, then our team would be looking at these alerts all the time for your production networks, and they'll be fixing it up. It is very rarely that we require your intervention in terms of getting back to the healthy status. So these are automatically managed, though transparently shared with you as well. Then this is the last bit about the parachains, the logs. So you would see all the logs here, specific to all the node types. You would have the relay chain logs, the parachain logs. Reason is twofold. One, you would not want to give access to your nodes to everybody, to your dev teams and all. In case of trouble debugging, they can simply copy these logs, search them, or filter them as they want and figure it out. Access is disabled as a production practice. So this was a quick run through of how this DevNet automation works, and there's a lot more we can talk about, but time is not enough for today. If you want to talk to us, we can conduct separate sessions and talk about it. And next, I think I'll hand it over to Zaid for Larch. It's a very interesting tool, and it's an automation as an open source we created on top of Zombinet. So if you're familiar with Zombinet, you would love it. It kind of eliminates every need or understanding of command lines, those black screens being metrics mode. You can simply operate Zombinet, test your parachain like a cakewalk. Over to you, Zaid.
Yeah, thanks, Ghan. Yeah, hi everyone. Many of you already know me, but who are coming late, let me introduce you. I'm Associate Product Director at Zeeve. So it's large time, I would say. This is an open source project built for the automation of Zombinet, and we have done it for the Polkadot ecosystem. So it has an intuitive and low-code interface, and using which you can test out many test scenarios of your relay chain and parachain, and you can make use of those configuration and make them save in the form of a template. And when you talk about templates, so you can have multiple templates of these configurations, and you can clone them, initiate a new network of the Zombinet, and check the output of the commands and logs, and what are the errors that we coming for the selected configurations. So like I would say like this is very interesting to know that the people who like hustle around code and command lines, so they don't have to worry about it because you can directly simply select different configurations and deploy it and test it and show and see error and different outputs. It has monitoring as well, so you'll be able to see the different parameters of the selected configurations. Yeah. So like it's an, as I said, that it's an open source project. So I would love that if you guys will contribute into it, if you guys have anything which we can add into it, like you can raise pull request for your adding new features, for adding new integration. So that's how we can uplift the Polkadot community. So yeah, it's a show time. Okay.
Let me do it for you.
Yeah. So that's how Larch looks like. On the left-hand side, you will see that there's a dashboard, my network section, then template, executions, activity, and lot other things like documentation and GitHub. Yeah. So let's jump over to Explorer. So dashboard, it shows you that how many Zombinet you have spawned, and it shows you like how many configurations you have saved in the form of templates, and then there are executions, like what are the activities that happens, what are the commands that has been executed over your networks. That this is showing you total number of execution which happened on these two networks. And there are other activities which happens against these executions. And we have around like 28 for these 4 execution which we have done for our 2 Zombinets right now. So let's at the top side you will be able to see service endpoint. It's like it provides you the ability to host a front end like interface at the this is a hosted version, I would say, and maybe you can make use of your own local machine because it's open source. You will be able to clone it from our GitHub, and like you can initiate interface in your local machine and maybe make use of another remote machine in order to initiate these Zombinets. Okay, and there's another button which is new template. You can create a new template from there. Let's create it. So before entering the name, it will ask you that do you want boot node or not? Okay, then you can enable it or maybe disable it. Then it will ask you that do you want to add introspector for monitoring or not? Okay, then there is a provider, like whether you want to make use of Podman or Kubernetes. And yeah, it's pretty simple. Like yeah, so here's the next configuration of relay chain. So here you have to provide default image, like which version of the Rococo local you want to make use of, and then there is a default command which is Polkadot, and there are default arguments. So whatever argument you want to pass at the time of running or executing this particular command, you can add as many as you want. And then we have node. You can add a number of node you want, and then it's Docker registry image URL you have to provide here, and yes, it's also allows you to make this particular RPC node as validator or not. Okay, and yes, it same goes with this also, like whenever the command will run in the background, like whether you can add a number of arguments into that. Yeah. Then let's jump over to another, like it's related to Parachain configurations. Like you can provide your Parachain ID, and then add Genesis, and then you can name collator node, I would say 1. Then you have to provide the Docker image of the binary which you want to utilize, and then the command. Let me just yeah. And yes, again, you can pass a number of arguments you want to pass at the time of executing this command.
Right, so the idea here is that, because in the background you're going to run a Zombinet scenario or simulation, while this front end is offering you all those combinations of choices you can fill in to brutally test your parachain. And it is a very important step before you go to production, test your parachain. So these options would allow you to fill in as many flags and arguments in your command to run your nodes and figure it out. So this would allow you to create ephemeral setups, test them, destroy them, recreate them, and with as many number of node counts with different arguments possible at every attempt or iteration. So these network templates, you can create them, save them for future uses, again add some more flags to the command line arguments, and change the parachain image, the relay chain image, retest it, and spin it up again and destroy it and then recreate it. So this is all going to be very smooth through this versus how you operate Zombinet through command lines. It's going to be less complex.
Yeah, then you can move to HRMP channel, and you can add your HRMP here, and then there is test configurations, like you can add a number of test cases over here, and like I said, like you don't have to worry about interacting directly with the command line interface. You can make use of Zombinet descriptive language here, and once I save it, it will just create network template for me.
Yeah. So maybe let us show you some running networks for the sake of time. Time is running fast, and there's a lot to show here. So when you create networks, you can pick up one of those templates you have created. Now, when we are saying we create a network, we're talking about creating a Zombinet simulation network with the configuration for relation, parachain, with all those images and arguments you just saved as a template. And when you run them, you would see them here as a list. You can run multiple scenarios in parallel and test at will. These scenarios would allow you to see the outcomes right in front of you. You would see the commands which are used in the background to run these, and you would also see the output. So when we run Zombinet on command line, we would see what happens. So you would see all the outputs here on your screen itself, and these are auto scroll, so you would see them running. And these outputs will be as extensive as you'll see them on the command line. You can pick up everything which happened, was the test successful, everything which Zombinet pumps out would be here. And
if there will be any error log, then you'll be
you would also see standard error logs and everything here. And then after getting exhausted with so many different test scenarios and figuring out how you want your parachain configurations to be, how you want to define its resilience, its robustness, you can actually go back to Zeeve automation to actually deploy a testnet or production mainnet. Larch will help you test it to the teeth, brutally test it. This is what Zombinet has been created for, and Larch actually works as a graphical user interface on top of Zombinet. And as you see, we use latest version of Zombinet here as well. And we are the maintainer of this repo, so every time there is an update on Zombinet, new runtime coming up on relay chains, we consistently pump them in here. So this is a quick on Larch. You can read about its documentation. You can go to GitHub, raise queries or report bugs, and we would definitely hear those out. This is the repository, so feel free to become a contributor. Write to us, raise issues, add more features, do more integrations with other tools in the ecosystem. We ourselves are exploring a lot.
We tried to make it very seamless. Yeah. If you go through the documentation, and if you need any kind of assistance, anything, then we are here.
Right. And let's talk about production best practices, because after doing a DevNet, testing your parachain brutally, you want to go to production, and that's what matters to you a lot. So parachains, they are complex beasts, though they are very beautiful in terms of what they can help you achieve. But there are some do's and don'ts. Of course, I talked about some bits while going through the DevNet deployments, like you do not want RPC exposed on collator nodes. No, that's a big no, never. You do not want SSH access or server level hardening to be, or some ports exposed without reason on those machines. Those are obvious do's and don'ts. But one of the few things which you must do, which is non-engineering, of course, to launch a Parachain, is work on your paranomics. This is a lot to cover. It's not just that you name a token, give it a brand name, do 3 default configurations and launch it. It matters a lot when you actually go to production that you have your paranomics figured out. I'm talking about token economics and governance, token and its usage and all, and everything around it. There's a lot which you have to cover. So I encourage that you study hard, and do, we offer this, also we offer advices in case you want to understand paranomics well and what works for you. Test it to the teeth. Zombinet is there, Larch is there on top of it as another open source. Test it as much as you can, as much as you must before you go to production. Because once you go to production, there are things which will happen and you don't like them. And when they happen, you kind of destroy the existence of your parachains. In fact, we have a team here sitting with us, Zaid. They're launching a gaming parachain. They're going through this state right now, and we at Zeeve are working with them to help their parachain become the most stable parachain going ahead. It'll probably launch in a month's time or so. So test it, and you have to make it scalable but secure. So how do you scale your network? How many people can join? Will too many collaterators slow it down? So you have to think about all those things while figuring it out. So it depends upon your topology, your deployment architecture a lot. So this is one of the important things for production parachains which you must know. Then plan for high availability load balancers if you're going to production. For dev nets, it doesn't matter. For production networks, it's a very sensitive thought and you must have it. Then work with a reliable infra provider versus in-house. If you do not have your own 24/7 team, experts on DevOps and all, do not try to set it up in-house, because 3 a.m. in the morning, something happens on your parachain, peer counts drop, block stops syncing, transactions stops going through. You do not want yourself in trouble that way. We pretty much become that infra provider for you if needed. Then prepare for manage, not just monitor. So monitoring is one thing, but managing a parachain means looking at all those important aspects of what is happening, upgrading runtimes, patches. Those are management operations. Monitoring is all about what is happening as is. Management is also focusing upon what more can be done. More modules can be installed, new runtimes, patches, updates can be installed, new security releases can be taken in. So management is a very extensive operation if you want to change certain configurations on the fly. So your own parachain runtime as well as relay chain runtime. Then are you migrating? So you need to take care of many things if you're migrating from an EVM chain to a EVM parachain or a core parachain, or non-EVM to parachain as well. And then security 101, of course, DDoS protection on your collator nodes as well as RPC nodes, malware intrusion detection protection. These are all best practices you must have on your production setup. DevNet, you can reset it any number of times, but something happens in production, it would jeopardize everything you have worked for till date. And then there is core time, because it is going to change everything the way you see parachains happening today. There will be no auction, goodbye auctions. So you would have to figure out what kind of new management operations you would need, day-to-day operations you would need. For example, one would be the core time purchase workflow. It would be a prepaid concept where you would buy those tokens, you would buy block space, operate against it. So your deployment architectures will remain the same, but day-to-day operations would change big time. You would want alerts. If your core time balance is running low, you would want alerts, because if you would run out of the balance, there would be no new blocks you can publish through your parachain. So no new, a lot of new operations would come out. Very side of these operations would be seen, and we are determined to help you, make your parachains a world-class parachain. All the things you need would be provided through us. So we are also releasing core time support on Zeeve platform. Right now, it's a para ID auction-based process. You fill in the para ID, you deploy it, but in future, we would allow all the core time related operations on the platform itself. And they will be for production dev nets as well as testnet and minnets. And we're also working with Cumulus SDK integrations and core time, so that you can create your parachains with core time workflows in it without worrying how it works today. And core time marketplaces, we're also working with some of the core time marketplaces, so you can have quick access to how do you purchase or create these workflows, and as well as secondary marketplaces on core time. Alert and purchase workflows, like I talked about, you want to know when you're running low on balance, when you want to purchase more, and in fact automate some purchase workflows if required. And then one of the big things we are also working upon is Paseo. Rococo is going to be deprecated very soon. So we are launching Paseo support for DevNet, testnets, and you can test your parachains on Zombinet on Paseo as well. After this support, will release. And then the most, one of the last thing is Cumulus SDK plus CoreTime plus Larch. So Cumulus SDK, you already know, it spins up those network environments using Zombinet. So Larch will integrate it with it. So you would do all those things through one platform, which includes creating your parachain configuration, basic specs and things. You would also operate it through Larch when it comes to the Zombinet aspect of it. And the CoreTime support workflows will be integrated, so you do not have to go to 3 places and figure it out. This is all from our side. Zeeve, DevNet automation, parachain management, monitoring, Larch for brutally testing your parachains using Zombinet in a very intuitive way. What is coming up next? And we would love to stay connected, so reach out to us anytime you would want. And yeah, we still have 4 minutes, so we can take up questions. Bang on time.
Hi, my name is Nikita. I work for OpenZeppelin. Your Larch looks just amazing. Thank you. It's really great. I have a question about Larch. We are also building templates, but like in a bit different style, so it's just for open source. The question is, can you first export the runtime from the Larch, and second, import your runtime into the Larch? So I've seen the templating. It's really cool, but it's like going to GitHub and from GitHub would be like a killer feature. Thank you.
Right. No, I think that's a fantastic suggestion. That's why, we invite a lot of people to collaborate on Larch. We, in fact, are working on this, complete packaging of runtime, exporting it out of the Larch, like you said, and importing it back. And we're, in fact, trying to merge, the Zeeve DevNet automation and the Larch together with Cumulus SDK. Like I said, in our roadmap, it is there. When you merge all these 3 things, you have a Zombinet test environment using Larch available, export, import available. When you export it, you can pump it back into the DevNet automation, testnet, and management of mainnet operations and launch a network right away. And then you can complete the loop by pulling your ephemeral setups back into it again. So yeah, it's a fantastic suggestion, and we'll definitely do it.
Yeah, thanks.
Any more questions? Bang on time then. I think, we are here all day, today, tomorrow, and we can, speak up in case you need any help with your parachains and all. We, in fact, will have a demo booth as well. So feel free to come around and, enjoy these tools firsthand if you want to try. If you're a dev, you would love it.